Darci's Corner. So I realize I don't look the sharpest at the moment. I've just finished a 6 hour shift delivering packages at night, which is fine, but I'm just a little. I'm not looking my best. But the thought struck me now, so I want to record it now while I'm thinking about it. The lighting also isn't that great because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and so I'm using my fish tank light there to illuminate the room a little bit, and you can see the sun starting to come through the window in the background there. Anyway, so Darci's Corner. I've talked a little bit about people who detransition, and I've talked a little bit about some people make different decisions when it comes to what's right for them when it comes to their gender expression. And sometimes I will get people asking me for advice about kids, and I do have opinions on that, but let's face it, I didn't discover this till I was 30. And so the way I processed this as a kid was different, and it would have been, had I tried to come out as a kid, it would have been very hard. Um, there's a trans YouTuber, her name is Jess, I think, and she talked about her experience transitioning as a teenager and how hard it was. And that would have been my life if I would have done that. I would have been a pariah, and people would have hated me, and I would have been made fun of even more than I already was. So that would have been my experience had I done what she did and came out as a teenager. But having said that, detransition is also a thing because sometimes a young person will have maybe depression or something and not realize they have depression, because the symptoms of depression and the symptoms of being trans can mimic each other very, very closely. And you can get fixated on an idea and go, oh, you know what, I'm pretty sure that this is what it is. So that's why in the early stages, lots of times they recommend blockers and they recommend like thinking about it. And it's not because it's a phase, okay? If you have a condition, whatever that condition is, it's real. So whether it's gender dysphoria or gender euphoria, because like in my case, I was never dysphoric about being a boy. I was just euphoric about also being a girl. But because that wasn't socially acceptable, I hid it and suppressed it. But I was never upset about being a boy as a child or even as a teenager. I didn't hate that. So you don't have to have dysphoria to be transgender. You can be transgender and not have dysphoria. That's possible. You can also have depression, which mimics dysphoria, and you don't realize it. And so you're fixated with, like, I have to have estrogen or testosterone or whatever the thing is that you have to make you this other person that you think you need to become. So then you do that as a youth, and you go through permanent things or things that maybe aren't 100% permanent but close, right? If you are a female to male and you take testosterone and you start developing facial hair and chest hair and your voice lengthens, you can still have children, right? You haven't had a hysterectomy yet, but you can still have children. You can still detransition back into a woman, but that facial hair, that chest hair, that deep voice, those are there for life, even though you're not on testosterone anymore. Well, that can be very dysphoric for somebody who all of a sudden realizes, you know what, I actually that wasn't my thing. But they just didn't know that when they were 13 because they had so many other things going on and they just hadn't sorted that out yet. But that doesn't mean that there aren't 13-year-olds who are 100% correct like I am. I am a him trapped in a her body, or I'm a her trapped in a him body. And so then, like, for them to be on the blockers, right? If I'd been on blockers when I was a teenager, I wouldn't have this deep voice right now. I wouldn't have facial hair, and I wouldn't have hairy breasts. Those would have been great things to not have, right? I would have liked to have done that as a teenager if I had known what this was. But I can tell you that I'm a non-binary person and that there are masculine traits that I really have enjoyed in my life. And so I'm happy that I have a functioning bottom half. Well, if I would have gone the full Monty as a teenager and had things removed and gone for SRS and had my bottom surgery, which people do, but if I would have done that, that would have been the wrong choice for me. And there was a point in time when people were doing this where there was like, they figured they were all in or all out, right? Which was people just didn't understand that for many of us, this is a spectrum. Like, we're only starting to really, as a society, understand this now. And there's still work to be done when it comes to the science of the psychology of this, which does not invalidate anybody, by the way. To say that there's more research to be done does not mean that you were not right in believing what you believe about yourself. And the only person who can know what your gender needs to be is you. Okay? These people who detransition, they weren't faking it the first time. Okay? They just realized, you know what? My problem wasn't this, it was that. Or in some cases, they transitioned 100% and they only wanted to maybe transition 75%. But they didn't realize that until they got there. That's just part of learning and how this works. So we don't demonize those people, we don't hate them, but we try to learn from them so that the next person that comes along and wants to explore this, if all they get is blockers, right, so they don't develop their breasts, maybe that's enough for them. Maybe that's all they need, right? There are non-binary people on YouTube. I've come across them. They helped me a lot, by the way, in understanding myself. But they were female to, I'm not going to quite say male because they didn't quite go all that way, but they went close. But they were happy with that. They wanted a flat chest, an androgynous look, and then, like, their life was good for them. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. So, to have children, teenagers, people who are 11 or 12 or 13, go 100% in one direction or the other, that's not very responsible medically. Socially is fine, okay? The assigned female at birth, you can call her him, and like that's their preferred gender pronoun, and that's what you're going to go with. But you haven't had a hysterectomy yet, so they can still have children if they want to. Okay, maybe they're on blockers so their chest doesn't develop, or their chest does develop, but they wear binders because the chest really bothers them. But then 2-3 years from now, they just realize, no, I just had depression, and I thought it was my chest that bothered me, but it wasn't. It was the depression that was bothering me, and I just fixated on the chest thing. So at that point in time, they want the chest back. Well, either they can go off the blockers or they can stop wearing the binder. Either way, they haven't done anything permanent, right? That doesn't make their feelings any less valid. Their feelings are still valid. It's not a phase, okay? And figuring stuff out when you're a teenager, that's what being a teenager is for. That's what you're supposed to do, is figure stuff out then. There's nothing wrong with that. And none of us has all the answers at any age. So anyway, that's my rant, or my issue. I gotta stay the hell off Reddit, because, you know, when you listen to random opinions from strangers on the internet, there's gonna be some dogs out there. There's gonna be some people who mean well, but just say stupid things. And you might think I'm one of those people, and that's fine. Like, if you don't like what I'm saying, YouTube is a big place. So is Reddit. So is Twitter. Feel free to just click on to the next one. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Thanks.